What is going on, everybody? The season 2 Love is Blind reunion has just wrapped up. That is it for season 2. I'm gonna say overall, little disappointed in our reunion here. We focused on a lot of the things on the show, which we all knew, but I was really interested in a little bit more in what had happened to everybody after the show. A few things got touched on, but I felt like a lot of this was just rehashing a lot of things that we had already seen and already discussed. But anyways, that was just a small thing. Overall, still a lot of fun to see everybody back together. First off, I just want to say that I really love Vanessa as a host. I said this on season 1, but I really feel like she's actually invested in the people on the show. And that's one thing I love about a good host is they actually care, and you can really feel that from her. All right, I guess we're starting with Shake because he wanted to be the star of the show. That was very, very clear. So let's let him be the start of the show. Anybody notice how uncomfortable Shane was just sitting beside the guy? And Shake was a couple times tried to engage with him, and Shane's just sitting there trying to turn his face away, hide his face. There was a couple little comments, and as the show went on, the entire cast turned against Shake, and it was very beautiful to see. One shocking thing that we heard was that all of the terrible, terrible comments that we saw from Shake were just a drop in the bucket compared to the things that actually came out of that man's mouth. One day, I don't know when, but he is going to look back on his time on the show and his relationship with Deepti and regret it deeply, because he is never, ever, ever getting a woman better than her. We saw on the show, but on the reunion, what became even more clear just how shallow of a man Shake was, and clearly he was not on the right show. He was obsessed with people's looks and appearance, and it's right in the title. It's called Love is Blind. Why he was cast for the show, why he stayed on the show, I will never know. I don't want to waste too much time on Shake. He's really, we're just wasting our breath. He was there with the intention of being the bad guy, the intention of taking up screen time, and he succeeded, which was unfortunate because we really didn't get to see that much from Deepti because we wasted all the Deepti and Shake time on Shake. So I just want to say that Deepti is just such an amazing person, and so unfortunate that she was completely overshadowed by Shake and his complete douchebaggery. Moving on, Natalie and Shane. It was good to see Shane really owning up to his actions in the pods. There were some awkward things, like when he thought that Natalie was Shayna, and his behavior after that. The moment when he went in to go propose to Natalie, and then it turned out it was Shayna in the pod. And as we're watching this and throughout the season and on this reunion, pretty clear to me that Shane is someone who really overreacts to situations he's not prepared for. In that moment, he goes over the top. Even on some of his answers, you can see him and hear him spiraling on those answers that he's not ready to give. I still feel like he has good intentions, that he wanted things to work with Natalie, but a couple of those moments, I totally see how they just ruin the entire relationship. They kind of tried to go back to that night before the wedding when Shane and Natalie had their huge fight, and was just sad. It was just sad watching both Shane and Natalie talk about things. There's very clearly still feelings there, and not just negative feelings. Like I think that they're two people who still love each other, and they just had, well, really more than just a moment, but they had one moment that derailed their relationship that they've just not been able to recover from. Yeah, they just both looked so hurt. Even just going back and thinking about what had happened, like they both just seemed like they were two people who 100% thought it was going to work out, and then came down to it, and it didn't. Even hearing some of the other cast members saying just like how much they thought it was going to work between Shane and Natalie, that they were going to be a yes, and they were not. I'd be interested to see if at some point in the future they give things a shot again. Sounded like they did try to date after the show, but Natalie said that the wounds from that fight were still just too fresh, just kept lingering in her mind, and something she could not get over. Kyle and Shayna. I really just didn't believe the things that were coming out of Shayna's mouth. I really didn't. She kept repeating, and I own it, and I own it, and I own it. And I kind of just sitting there watching and thinking, I don't really think that you know what that means. Like the way you're using it, Shayna, is you explain a situation in your words on your terms and then say you own it. That's not owning it. That's just you saying what you thought happened. That's not the same. Those are not the same things. Because like what we saw was someone who said yes to a proposal, and her just now saying, yeah, I shouldn't have said yes, that doesn't explain why she did. And at no point during this reunion did she explain why she said yes. All she said is, yeah, I probably shouldn't have, and religion or my relationship with God was the reason why. She knew that before saying yes, still said yes, and with all of that having happened, she still got somebody to set up that meeting with Shane so that she could express her feelings to him right before he went and proposed to Natalie. Just seems a little bit too calculated and malicious on Shayna's part. That no, she did not own it. As much as she wants to tell you that she did, just did not. And she tried to explain the Shane thing as was part of her processing. No, that was not what we saw. That is not what happened. So yeah, you wanna make up lies to make yourself look good, that's fine. But we don't have to believe those lies. One of the best moments for Kyle was Kyle saying his biggest regret was not asking Deep D to marry him. I very much appreciated that, and hopefully, I'm on board with that. Have them go on a date. Let's see what happens with Kyle and Deep D. They're two people who really got screwed over by bad people. You put them together, give them a chance. All right, moving on. Ayanna and Jarrett. We really didn't get too much from them. But one thing that bothered me, that was like the first thing Jarrett said, was marriage isn't easy. This is a pet peeve of mine. I'll say this over and over on multiple different shows every time I hear this line, and I disagree. Life isn't always easy. The things that happen in your life can be very hard and very challenging, but marriage, to me, is not one of those challenges. It's not difficult waking up beside the woman that I love every single morning. It is it is not difficult having someone by my side through every challenge life can throw at me. That is not difficult. That is easy. You know, saying I do on my wedding day, that is the easiest decision I've ever made in my life. I don't like that. I don't like that cliche that marriage is hard, marriage is difficult, because in my opinion, it is not. Life can be hard. The things that life can throw at you can be overwhelming and difficult, but marriage should be the one thing in your life that is not a burden, is not a challenge, is not a difficulty in your life. But that is all I'm going to say on that. You know, good to hear that they're still married, still together, and that they've made some compromises. I said on my other reviews that I felt that this couple was one that needed time. They weren't ready, in my opinion, they weren't ready for marriage, but given some time, they could be. And it sounds like even though they got married right out of the gate, they still had that time to adjust, to change their lives, you know, to compromise. And good to see that they are still together. Our other couple that is still together, Danielle and Nick, still married. And it was good to hear that apparently things were better than they were on the show. You know, they said like some of those challenges and arguments and fights that happened on the show just kind of went away when the cameras weren't around. So that could just be a matter of neither of them was fully comfortable on camera, and in my opinion, totally understandable. Also, I don't know if anybody else caught it, but Nick slipped in that they have been going to therapy together. And I think many of us all who were watching the show felt like that would have been something that they would have benefited from, and sounds like they have. Not much else from Nick and Danielle. We had the little apartment tour. Apparently they like dressing up in food related costumes, just like they did on the show, and pretty happy to see them still together. Lastly, the one couple who really we barely saw on the reunion. They sat at the ends of the couches. They got the least amount of screen time, and that is Mallory and Salvador. You know, we talked about the Mallory conversation with Jarrett. We rehashed that whole thing, and I still believe that was a moment that just deeply wounded Salvador. And ultimately, I think that conversation was the demise of that relationship. If that conversation hadn't happened, or if it just hadn't gone to the places that it went to, I think they would have been fine. You know, maybe Ayana can move past that with Jarrett, but very clearly Salvador could not. Yeah, that is really all we got from them. They both didn't have much to say at the reunion, and that's all right. They didn't want to go back into things, and that is all right. All right, I think that's going to wrap things up for season 2. So another season, 2 more successful couples, and you know what shows out there have as good of a success rate as Love is Blind? Very few. You know, you go look at The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, they have a low success rate. Very, very, very low. Especially The Bachelor, like they wouldn't be 1 out of 5 couples. And here we are, Love is Blind. We're essentially we're like close to like 40% success rate. And I like seeing that. I like seeing people actually happily married at the end of these shows, and very much appreciate seeing that again on Love is Blind. This second season, definitely not as good as season 1. Did not get as invested in season 2 as I did in season 1, but you know, hopefully we come back with season 3, and not 3 years down the road. Like, let's get another season of this, like, before the end of the year. Let's get at least another season at the start of next year. I want to see at least one season of Love is Blind every year. It just seems like the easiest show to record out there, so why not give us more? All right, everybody, that wraps things up for season 2 of Love is Blind. As always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we will see you later.